guys, it is Tristan with Nerdouts Newsstand, and we are going to talk today about Jupiter's Legacy Requiem. Now, this is the third installment from Mark Millar. He is doing kind of a final installment to the Jupiter's Legacy whole issues. Now, this is one of my favorite comic books ever. So, going into this, I was extremely excited. I can't say that coming out of it, I was as excited as going into it. Now, before I get into a spoiler review, there's a lot of great things in this, and I do believe that that he can do the job that he did with the original on this one. So I'm trusting the process of this book, and I do like a lot of what he's done. The new art. Oh, I love Frank Quitely. I'll put that out there. But this is something completely different. It's very watercolor. It's very beautiful. It's very bright. It's very in your face. And I absolutely love every minute of it. I also love that he did a dedication, and I will show you that here in a minute. I like a lot of what is going on, but I feel like by the end of this, my whole world was turned upside down. Everything I knew about Jupiter's Legacy was turned upside down and just kind of shaken out. I was like, why? What are you doing? Please, no. Like, this is one of those series. Everyone can form emotional attachments to certain characters, right? And this is one of those series that I've definitely formed an emotional attachment to. Like, we're going to see Jason, which is Chloe and Hutch first child, right? And seeing him older, I'm like, oh my God, he looks like his grandpa. Like, ridiculous. I know I'm ridiculous, but that attachment has been formed for a long time. I've read Jupiter's Legacy so many times, probably 6 or 7 times, and I just started it again this morning. I actually read Jupiter's Circle, Volume 2, started reading it, just because I love the ending of that, where you see the separation of Sheldon and his first wife. And you see him donate all his money to charity. And then he's like, well, that's not good enough. I'm going to take and buy a present for every single child. And he literally becomes Santa. Like, those parts get my heart going, right? So I love, that's probably my favorite arc in that. But this is something a lot different. And I like it. It's just, you know what? Let's just get into it. So, spoilers, we're going to take a look at Requiem. And it is number 1. I probably will cover the whole series if you guys are interested, just because I love talking about this. I love this comic. And I think, honestly, I think it's going to end out good. I really do. When everything you know changes, it kind of is like a shock factor, right? And Mark Millar loves doing that. So the art is by Tommy Lee Edwards. And there is a little bit of I think it's the dream sequence by John Paul Leon. And that's the dedication that he did, because John Paul Leon is now no longer with us. But I will say right away, I did like, I'm trying to see who did the lettering, because there was this very weird point in the lettering, and you'll see it right here, that some of the words were more bold than the other. John Workman. I liked it. It actually worked a lot. It's something I do with my titles, where I'll capitalize words because I can't make them bold in a title. And I actually really liked it. So let's get into it. So we see Chloe and Hutch, and of course they are getting married. This is what happened right from before. And we see that not only did they have Jason, look at Jason, he's so cute. But they had 2 other children, and they're kind of just having fun. And I love this right here. Of course it didn't. I love it. Of course it didn't fucking last, because during the whole thing, they're like, you know, the daughter of the greatest hero, the son of the greatest villain. Of course they won't fucking work out. So I love that kind of little throwback there, but it worked out. It didn't work out at all. And that's a shame. At first I was like, no. But I got used to it. So we see this kind of manipulation of the weather start out. And this is the new utopian. So we see Jason, their son, become the new utopian. And I love that. I love it. And he looks so great. And this is where he's at. But in Las Vegas, we're going to flash forward to the future. Let's start there. 2051 is where this is going to take place. So we see Las Vegas. Everybody is, there's a weather catastrophe. Then we go to Frankenfurt, same thing. We go to Australia, fires. We go to Japan, there's another one. And they don't know what is going on. And then we have this, the person, and I don't know that they ever really name this villain here. They may, actually comes over, and he is the one that is doing it. He's manipulating the weather and saying, look, I did this in a matter of minutes. Can you imagine what I would do in a week? I just buried 4 cities. What could I do in a week? I want, $1 trillion. So, then we see Jason come in, and I really don't like here how it's labeled son number 1. And I get it. I get that that's why, because they're going to reveal that he's the new utopian, but it's like kind of demeaning, right? Like, you are son number 1, you are son number 2. So we see Jason, and he starts going through, and you see him, he's fixing all the mistakes that we saw the weather chaotic person go through and do. I wish they would have named them, and maybe I missed it, maybe they did, but even so, he goes through and he kind of tries to save as many lives as humanly possible. And then he's like, well, you did all this. What if I brought a tsunami to New York? So he heads to New York, and that's actually where we see son number 2. And again, little demeaning, but I get what they're trying to do. They're trying to make it clear, because we haven't met these characters as adults. They're trying to make it clear that this is Jason, that this is the next son. And then, that it's going to eventually show the daughter here. But he's having a protest. And because it's in, 2051, there's a lot of different technology available. And I really think it's cool how they have these like holograms, justice for the Uyghur Muslims. They have these holograms posted up over New York City. And you see him talking, and this is where I really have the issue. This is Jules, but some of the characters fly in and out so fast that you are like, okay, I've read Jupiter's Legacy. I've read them all multiple times, all of them. Some of them I was like, who? What? Like, if I'm confused, you're going to be confused. So as far as recommending this goes, if you have any interest, I recommend going and reading Jupiter's Legacy Volume 1 and 2, and then Jupiter's Circle Volume 1 and 2. So this takes a niche market of comics and makes it even more niche, right? So we have Otto, and that's the son number 2, right? We see Jules a little bit, and we see some of the other characters that are within the Union now. Now, they don't do a good job of introducing them. They don't do a great job of exposition to explain who they are. They're in, they're out, and that's it. So they're basically, looking up at Utopian, like, oh my God, look what he's doing. He's saving everyone. He's really perfect, isn't he? Yes, he definitely is. So he said he's the bane of my fucking life. Otto, his younger brother, right? So we go through and we meet some of the other characters now. Here's some exposition, and I do like that they talk about 40 years ago, the superheroes took over the world. And I think it's important to mention, if we're talking about, Jupiter's Legacy, Dr. Jack Hobbs in, I believe it would have been it would have been Jupiter's Circle Volume 1 or Volume 2. He talked about why this couldn't work, why these superpower beings could not work, because eventually people would breed and it would be, there would be no more villains or heroes. There wouldn't be a normal heroic person, it would be eventually bigger, better, bigger, better, bigger, better. And it would eventually be the downfall of the entire world. And I think it's funny that we're kind of seeing that come to pass in a way, because we're seeing a downfall of society. And now we haven't seen, Dr. Jack Hobbs, and I like his character. He was the one, if you remember, if you watch the show, he was the psychiatrist that Sheldon went to visit in prison. Did the same thing in the comic. So I think it's kind of coming to light what we're actually seeing from him. So they talk about how great everything is, right? Nature has been tamed, crime at an all-time low, hunger and pandemics are virtually eliminated, all with the collaboration of the humans and the superhumans. Kind of, but we'll get there eventually. This was actually used a long time ago. It's a kind of a throwback, and this is what I mean. You gotta read the other ones. This is a throwback to when Skyfox came back into, well, he didn't, but he was going to come back into Jupiter's Circle Volume 2. Oh, this is so hard to explain. This is why it's so messed up. There's got to be a better explanation, but there's only 5 issues, so I get it. So this was always unreadable. It was always unreadable. And then, that was a whole issue with Brainwave, basically messing with Skyfox's wife, and then she went over to him, and that ended up, not being an issue. So now it's back to being an issue, and they need to figure out how to read it, but they never could before. And now they're kind of looking at it like, hey, maybe we can actually do something. So this is the daughter, right? I don't even remember her name. She didn't have a big part. She will in a minute. So we meet a few more characters, and this is where it gets even more confusing. Yes, it does get more confusing. So this is son number 3. Now, I thought initially that there was 2 sons and a daughter, because that's actually what it shows in the beginning. So there's going to have to be a better explanation. He actually didn't get any powers, though. Here's his daughter. And then we see this is Chloe, right? She's still around, and she's still being a superhero. She's still kind of explaining everything. And we get a conversation with, the sister. There's, it's a family reunion, but it's not really, because you have son number 3 and daughter number 1. And that's all that came to this family reunion. So we're going to go over to Skyfox. Skyfox is drawn so well. I love Hutch as a character, and he looks like, I can't remember. I was going to say it the other day, and it's like a silver sable or something, like a hot old dude. Like that. That's the way he's drawn, and I really like it. Well, they're, going over to Hutch, and he's kind of broke. He's signing different things for money, and they're just talking in front of him like he's not even there. He's like, she used to be married to Lady Liberty, and then they're like, well, I thought Lady Liberty was married to the president. Well, no, that was her first husband, and this was it. Like, he's like, can you guys just stop? I'm in the room. I'm literally here. So someone hands him this card, and he's getting sick of being at this Comic-Con anyway. He's like, fine, I know who this is. I'm taking off. And he does. And this dude, this is what I mean, like, this is somebody new again, right? So he goes to Madison Square Garden, which used to be the home of the New York Knicks, and it is now the private residence of the world's greatest basketball player ever. So he goes in, and he goes right by him. I want you to look at the size difference when they show them right here. Like, this dude, of course, was the best basketball player ever, because as supers kind of went on in this society, you saw not only superheroes being villains or heroes, they also became basketball players or football players. And all of the people that were just normal people that were good at sports and would end up being in the NFL, those people were kicked to the sidelines, and you had super league stadiums that were sizes of cities. And it kind of, led to the downfall. But basically, he collects different superhero memorabilia, right? And he won Skyfox's original costume, and he actually offers him $20 million, and Skyfox is like, nah, I'm good on that. He's like, why the meeting then? He's like, so I could just say fuck you in person. I love it. So he takes off. And this is why superheroes, and why I keep going back to what Dr. Jack Hobbs said, is because this is ruined sports. It's ruined superheroing. It's ruined petty crime. It's ruined everything. So we go over to Brandon. Now, if you remember Brandon from the original series, he was Paragon, or he was the one that killed his parents. He was manipulated essentially by his uncle, Brainwave. And now he's getting released. Unbelievable, but I guess if the plot needs it, the plot needs it. He has been converted to Buddhism, and he has now renounced all violence and pledged his life to the pursuit of peace. And he shaved his head, and he's officially a Buddhist, right? Okay, so he takes off. He's let go, and we see Otto show up, or son number 2, and he wants help with his message, right? And Otto is more of the human rights activist. He is the one that was protesting from before with the Uyghur Muslims, and I love that Mark Millar is not afraid to put that kind of stuff into it. So he wants him, his help on the human rights issues, and he says no. If you're talking about the attack on China, I have absolutely no interest. You're young and reckless, and I'm done. I'm not going to do this anymore. I was actually shocked. You would think as a Buddhist, that would be something you might be interested in, but he is right. Nobody takes on China and actually lives to tell. So Chloe and Hutch's only daughter, right? So what they're going to do, now this is Brainwave's body. Okay. They're going to extract Brainwave's body, but for the only daughter, the type of power that she inherited was very similar to her uncle, right? So she is able to access that memory, and they think by getting his body, they can access his memory and find out what happened, because every time they went into the memory hold, he doesn't remember what happened when they were actually on that island with the aliens. Now, there's a story that's been told that everybody was granted powers and it was wonderful, but they never, really went beyond that. So that's kind of what they want to find out, and hoping they can find out what that is too. So first memory they go to is them on the beach, and Brainwave's here. It's the first time he ever realized that men like to look at his mom. And I don't know why that's going to be important, but he does say that it'll eventually, you came back too early, Sophie, which is the daughter, right? But it's important for some reason. So they end up making it to the island. Now here's the island. They didn't show the aliens in the show, but even so, this is what they essentially look like when they were drawn by Frank Whiteley. So they go through. Now, this is a huge spoiler for the season, so, turn back now. And they kind of see everything, and they actually make it through. And she's definitely having a hard time doing so, and they see it. Oh, my God. This, okay. So, Sheldon goes up. The story we've been told all along, and this is where they're supposed to be gracious and give them, their powers, and this is the aliens here. And they grab a hold of them, they take them to these people, and they fucking kill them. So, as the story goes, when the Utopian and the rest of the people got their powers, they were originally murdered. When I read it in, what's it called? Guided view. So I'm like, what is going on? Are you kidding me? Every single one of them was murdered. Every single one. Not only murdered, but he ripped his fucking face off. Like, are you kidding? What? This changes everything. Everything. But they, of course, aren't going to tell you anything more about it on this issue, because that would be Too easy. So we switch over. They say this is the world's greatest superheroes. This is their final adventure. Keep that in mind. Again, going back to Jack Hobbs, it's just becoming too overblown. It is the fall of humanity. So we have this. I kind of ruined it there. Let's go to one page here because it makes it more dramatic, right? And we have this. I know his name's not Battlestar. I don't know why I'm thinking that. I don't remember. So basically, we have him, and he's like, it's moving over 260 miles. Oh, Powerhouse. That's what it was. You're not going to be able to stop it. And he's like, I'm fucking Powerhouse. Are you kidding me? I can handle that shit, right? I can handle it. Are you ready? Are you ready? Stand back. Boom! Like, what the fuck? Like, I just didn't understand what was going on. And this lady's just like, everybody's freaking out. This lady's just like, what the fuck? Like, I don't know what's going on. I don't know why it's going on, but it's over. And then you have three people in, kind of jumpsuits going, told ya. And that's it. And that's it. You have the death of Battlestar from the Union and a complete rewriting of the whole series because apparently Sheldon and Lady Liberty and Skyfox and Brainwave were all fucking murdered in the beginning. So were they murdered and replaced with better versions of themselves and that's why they don't age, but it really was them? Or are they fucking aliens? Oh, I'm so confused. But that's what makes it so good, right? I really enjoyed it. So let me know, of course, what you guys thought about this. If you enjoyed it, I was shocked that they changed so much of it. Oh, I went back. Oh, well. I was shocked that they changed so much of it, but I absolutely loved it at the same time. So let me know what you guys think. I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.